All right, quiet on the set. It's time to begin. Yes, another good video, Vid Headz. This one, well, I went ahead and I sold it. Why? Well, after this. Welcome back, Vid Headz. Yes, if you spent any amount of time here on Vid Headz, you'll know that this channel is all about iron sharpening iron, and we're all taking our skill to the next level. My name is Aaron Jones. I'm your big brother, and I got your back. If you're all right with that, go ahead and hit subscribe. Don't forget to hit the baby bell because we got a lot of different content that's coming at you. With that being said, yes, I went ahead and sold it. What? The Zcam E2, I sold it. Yes. Why, you ask? Good question. One of the things that I come to find out about that particular camera that I was really excited, and one of the main things that encouraged me to buy it was the RAW. Now, when I deal with RAW, I was hoping to get something along the lines of Red Code RAW or Blackmagic RAW, or even the RAW that comes out of the Canon C200, where you can actually manipulate and do these different things inside of Premiere Pro. And so it just never surfaced. Zcam was talking about they're coming out with it, they're coming out with it, they're coming out with it. And at some point I had to make a choice and had to make a decision. So for me, it was just the best thing to do to go ahead and get rid of it now, go ahead and get into something that I can get the learning curve out of the way and begin to use the camera professionally. Why? Because one of the main things is I'm looking to transition into a production house. We're talking about a production house, we're talking about professional imagery and those types of things. I want to be able to record and hand my footage off to a colorist, or make sure that I can easily match up my footage with the multi-camera use, those types of things. And one of the main things I'm using right now is the A7 III. I had sold that previously in the past, but I also bought it back because to me, there's nothing like the ease of use with that A7 III. That hybrid with the photo and the video is a pretty awesome matchup, and that is a good all-around universal camera in my eyes to use, and that's one of the reasons why I like it so much. The things I don't like about the A7 III, well, that's why I'm diving into this whole camera situation as we speak. Now, I'm on the hunt for another camera. Before we get into that, let's first talk about why the E2 might be a good camera for you if it checks the boxes of the things that you're looking for. Number one, the 120 frames per second that the camera records in is pretty impressive. I got a chance to use this at a boxing event, and I'm pretty impressed on how the imagery came out, and I think it's well worth the $2,000 that it demands. The image and color is really good. I like their color science at Zcam. I see a lot of people who can take it or leave it. Me, I like it. I like their color science. I like the way that it's easy to color correct in Premiere Pro. Not only that, they have the Zcam color suite that makes it a couple clicks and it's color corrected and is ready to grade. If you're doing a professional project, I think that this will aid you and cut down a lot of time with that Zcam color suite that they have for Premiere Pro. And I think it's also in DaVinci Resolve as we speak as well. The form factor is small. So if you're looking to use it more in a professional cinema, then you're gonna need to rig it up. But I love the modular form factor because you can actually rig it based on how you need it to be. If you need to rig it out all the way to a matte box, or if you just need to rig it up just for a handheld, or if you need to rig it up for a stabilizer or whatever, it can be done with this particular form factor. Also, with the Micro Four Thirds mount, you can adapt that to almost anything. So no matter what glass you have, chances are you can adapt it to that particular ecosystem. Now, I really love the low light ability of this camera because the high ISOs that you can actually use that are very usable. I'm talking, I don't know how high I can actually go with the ISOs, but I know that I was using 5,000 ISO without a problem. I can go 6,000, 7,000 without a problem, and with no issues at all, very minimal noise, if any at all. It was awesome to work with. And that Z-Log 2 that they have, I really preferred that, and I use that predominantly. I tried the HLG, but the Z-Log 2 was my preferred choice. And last but not least, one of the things that's currently very popular today is live streaming. Now, you can take this camera and you can live stream and connect it to your computer and get it out in the internet and live stream without a capture card. Now, this is very important because when the epidemic first hit, a lot of churches were trying to scramble to try to find out how can they live stream, because of course they had to close the churches. And so one of the things I found is that all the capture cards were sold out. I mean, all the different, from the Blackmagic to the Camlink to whatever, they were all sold out when these pastors were contacting me, and I was trying to get them in position to be able to live stream. And so live stream is not my thing. That is not my forte, but I did know a little bit about it. So I was trying my best to lend a hand and help them get going. And with the Z-Cam, you don't need a capture card. You need 3 pieces of software and a computer, and you can get the live streaming. And the 3 pieces of software that you need are free. And OBS Studio is one of those pieces of software, along with the NDI plugin for OBS and the Z-Cam stream converter that you can download for free. And you can use the Ethernet cable to make it all happen. I made a video about that. I'll put the link up so you guys can check that out. Now, those are the things that stood out to me the most about the E2. I'm sure there's other great features about the camera that I did not mention, but those are the things that stood out to me the most. And if you ask me, it's well worth the $2,000. But again, for me, I need the RAW. I need to be able to use the RAW, and I want to be able to use the RAW in my editing software of choice. Like I said before, I'm transitioning into a production house. So I'm transitioning into more professional jobs and gigs and projects and those types of things. And by doing so, I just need a camera that can check the boxes that I need. Now, like I said, there's no perfect camera, and I believe that. So you have to get the tool that you need for what it is that you're working with and what you're trying to accomplish. And I understand that wholeheartedly. Like, I'm using an A7 III right now to do my recording, and I'm looking for a more professional camera for my professional projects. One of the things I'm going to say that because I saw the Blackmagic 6K, Pocket 6K go down from $2,500 to $2,000. And this is what, April 24th, 2020. And so as of today, the Blackmagic 6K is now $2,000. So that tells me something. If they're bringing prices down, then that means more likely they're making room for something else. So to me, I'm sensing something else is coming out. And I would love to put my hands on an A7S III or A7S4. Though that would be ideal for me. But if that's not coming out and nobody knows when they're coming out, and I have to transition myself into a production house, and I have events coming up, I'm on the hook. I'm already booked for weddings. I'm already booked for events that's already going to happen. They've been postponed because of the pandemic, but I'm still booked for them. So I have to be able to do those as well. So getting a red camera and those types of things, that wouldn't fit the bill for those particular events. I guess I should say that the red Scarlet X, the red Epic X, those cameras are not low light cameras, and those cameras are the ones that are in my price range. So, and I'm talking used price range. So what I'm saying is those cameras are studio cameras. They're set up for you controlling the light. They're not set up to go into events with low lights and that kind of thing. They're just not set up for that. Now, I'm not saying you can't use them in those particular instances. Please don't get the wrong idea. There's a lot of different professionals out there, and they can get every ounce of ability out of those cameras. But for me, jumping into the camera and I have to go through the learning curve, that's just not for me at this point. What's for me is to try to find something that's easier for me to use, that the curve is not as steep, and I can kind of get my hands on the camera and start putting out some professional content with. So that's what I'm interested in doing. I'm looking to be able to have a camera where I can take the footage and just hand it over to a colorist, which means I need to have a codec that's easy to work with, a RAW that's easy to deal with, and something that's more universal that a colorist can just import and begin to start working on. I don't want to have to hand them something that they're going to have to transcode to this or transcode to that in order to start working on my project. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something that's going to be ease of use for the colorist, or even for myself if I'm actually going to do the editing. Another thing I'm looking for, I need to be able to milk that dynamic range for everything I can get out of it. I mean, every spec I can get out of it if I need that for my professional work. Now, if I'm not doing work or corporate work that requires that type of professionalism, then I don't have to worry about that. But for those projects that I am doing that needs that particular eye on, spot on, clarity and quality, and need to get every ounce of dynamic range, then yeah, I'm looking for a camera that can give me a higher dynamic range, anywhere from 12 stops up to 15 stops. Like I mentioned before, I'm already booked for weddings, events, and things like that for this particular year. So that camera, I don't have the budget to buy 4 or 5 different cameras. So I'm looking at getting 2 or 3 cameras maybe. And so I need to find something that I can still use for my wedding work, I can still use for events, and I can also still use for, corporate work and commercials and those types of things. I need something that's gonna be able to be a little bit more universal. I want a camera that has RAW. I want a camera that has RAW that I can actually put into my editing software and have support in that particular software. Like my Premiere Pro is my main software that I use. I kind of dabble in DaVinci Resolve a little bit, but I've been kind of strayed away from it because I've been using Premiere Pro a lot more lately than I have in the past. And I need to get into DaVinci Resolve a little bit more, and I want to make some videos for that for you guys, for the Vid Heads. But right now I'm more focused in the Premiere Pro, and I'm looking for a RAW format that I can actually edit in Premiere Pro if possible. I mean, I don't mind getting a RAW that I have to edit in DaVinci Resolve, but my preference is Premiere Pro. High frame rates is another thing I'm looking for. Of course, I want at least 60 frames per second at 4K. That's one of the things that I'm looking for, that I think it checks my boxes. Again, the run and gun form factor. Like I told you guys before, I'm already on the hook for some weddings and some events and some things that I got going on for this year. And that camera that I get is going to have to help me in those bookings that I already have as well. So yeah, I'm looking for a form factor that's run and gun. Now I understand some of these cameras you have to rig up to be run and gun, and I'm okay with that as well. But again, that's what I need. I need something that I can run and gun with. I'm looking for something that's going to be fun to work with. I don't want something that's tedious to deal with, and all those types of things. And of course, I'm going to continue to making content for the Vid Heads, and I got a lot of good content coming at you guys here in the near future. So make sure you stay tuned for that. But yeah, so I use my A7 III for that. I mean, that A7 III is perfect for my my Vid Head episodes. But I'm also looking to, do comparisons and those types of things. That's why I like going out to buy all these different cameras, and I'm trying them out. And I'm trying my best to see what I can actually produce with them. So now I've had the FS100, I've had the EA50, I've had the GH5, I've had the A7 III, I've had what else? The JVC GY-LS 300. I've had the Zcam E2. I had quite a few cameras, and I buy and sell, and I watch the appreciation value of these particular cameras, mainly because I got bit in the behind really good with the FS7s. When I first bought those FS7s, each one of those cameras cost me about $2,300. I had 3 of those cameras, and when I sold them, because the depreciation got away from me and I wasn't paying attention, man, when I sold those cameras, I think I was lucky to get $1,300 a piece for those cameras. So I ended up losing $1,000 per camera. And after that happened, I said to myself, never again. I'm not gonna allow that to happen to me. So that's probably why you see me buy cameras and then sell cameras and those types of things. I talk good things about this camera, and then you turn around and see an episode where I sold that camera. Well, I can't be married to the body. I'm married to my glass, but I date my bodies. And so I'm looking at for what's going to help me. And as I transition in my skill set, I'm looking to transition in cameras that's going to help me in those particular instances. Now, there's people who are doing dynamic things with smartphones. I mean, just dynamic things. But for me, being realistic, when I show up to a corporate shoot, I want to look professional and I want to be able to deliver what it is they're asking me to deliver them. So those things I have to keep in mind when I'm looking for a camera. And of course, the last thing is I would like something that's more on the lines of a cinema camera. Now, we talked about this before in earlier videos. Cinema camera is a camera that's all about imagery. It's centered around imagery. So that is what I'm looking for vis-a-vis the RAW. So, I guess so the last part of this video, what are my options? Again, I sense that there's some new cameras coming out and I think they've been delayed because of the pandemic. That is unfortunate because I would like to have a new camera in my hands now where I can be learning about that particular camera, getting that learning curve out of the way so I can go ahead on to shooting more professionally with it. But that's not the case. Again, I mentioned that I'm already on the hook for weddings and events. And I know an event is coming up that I'm already booked for right now. I'm gonna need a low light camera or I'm gonna need to bring light with me. So then that's another thing. I have to have light on rollers and all that. And so it is what it is. We got to do what we have to do and we can make it happen with what we have. But we're trying to do the best we can. And so if I'm going to pick a camera, I'm going to try my best to transition into being a production house. I have to try to pick what I think is going to work best for me. And I have to still honor these bookings that I have in my transition. So with that being said, which camera do you think I should get? Or if you have some better options that I did not mention, I would like to hear your thoughts. Put them down in the comments below. As always, I'm Aaron Jones. I'm your big brother. I got your back. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the bell. I got more content coming at you. Make sure you go out and you film something and kill it.